I think that that's something that we also need to think about when we are being oversharing and we're being open and too honest, that sometimes it can come back and it can bite you.
Hello, welcome to this edition of Real Talk with TAS and OnJerya. Why were you trying to send
Girl,
something when
why we both got on orange?
I don't know? You got the memo. That's going to be my next. And why are you trying to have my hair color?
Kind of like got to change it up every now and then, you know.
Okay, then. Okay. Got my hair color. Decide you're going to wear orange too. I just can't with you, girl. I tell
This was
you.
not planned.
No,
This was not planned.
no. I just, I got on khaki, true khaki color. What's your bottom look like? Is it khaki too?
You know, we going to plead the fifth on.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank
Well,
you. For those that work from home, you understand.
well, you could have just told me they were khakis.
You know, they are. They're definitely blending in with my skin.
Okay, good, 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 good. Well, now what's going on, Miss Anjay? Because I know you got your finger rather on the pulse. What's happening?
Girl, it's so much happening, you know. Oh, I don't even know where to start. I really don't even know where to start. And I know you like at the beginning. And I'm gonna say that's exactly where I'm gonna start. So
Okay.
without going too much into details,
Mhm.
I was in this training class. I'll leave it at that. I was in this training class, and the lovely lady that was facilitating the training class. Yeah, there you go. The original
Yeah.
leggings. Exactly. Exactly. Um, we were introducing ourselves, and she began to introduce herself. And one of the things that she stated was that she's not organized.
Hmm.
And I'm just like to myself, like, what do you mean? What do you mean you're not organized? Like, you're the trainer. You're supposed to be facilitating these trainings, these sessions. And for you to state that, you're not organized, it calls things into question of sometimes we share things that we really shouldn't share.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it goes to that if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at
Yeah.
all. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, what immediately comes to mind is um, uh, trying to think of it's like a little story. It's kind of crashed. It could be a story of I'm teaching you how to drive. I'm your driver's ed teacher, but my
Right.
license has been suspended multiple times. Or it could be I'm teaching you how to drive a boat, but I don't know how to drive the boat.
Right.
I'm flying the plane, but I don't really know how to fly the plane.
Right.
But I'm your captain, and I'm going to assure you that you're going to be safe. And maybe not knowing the person, not knowing the situation, maybe he or she thought that it would be a way for you guys to relate to her by her sharing that and to kind of alleviate other people's stress about the training, um, but that doesn't alleviate my stress. It just makes me think, who is flying this plane? Who is actually steering this boat? Because you're telling me you're not organized, and we got this leadership. I think you just mentioned to me there's leadership training.
Yeah.
We've got this training that's going to take place for quite some time, and basically, you sort of have given me doubts about your ability to facilitate the training. So yeah, when is oversharing too much? You
I
know.
agree. And then one of the sessions that is actually coming up is talking is talking about building trust.
Mm.
And so I don't know if that was, her way of kind of like jumping into it to be like, I need you guys to trust me. You know, you have that trust exercise. Oh, I can tell you this. So last week, last week, again, I ain't calling no names.
Please don't.
the person. But last week, Trinity had I'm
Okay.
not gonna call the person name that's involved. 'Cause I don't even know their name. But anyway, so last week, Trinity for dance, they had, visitation where we could watch them from, beginning to end, whatever. So during one of their dances, there is a movement where Trinity has to kind of like lean back, with her have her leg up, lean back, and there's somebody behind her. So it's like a little trust exercise, right? And this person definitely was not giving being trustworthy. Okay. Like they were just standing there, like they were definitely lost and dazed and confused. And my baby, who has some sense, thank God won't he do it? She wasn't leaning all the way back because I guess she just, I mean, because you're looking in the mirror, you can see like, okay, this person's not going to catch me if I fall back. So I don't know if that's what she thought was like. I share this with you guys because I want to be open and honest about things may not flow the way you may expect them to, and this is the reason why. I would like to give people grace. As I told my manager today, I give people grace. Now sometimes that grace does kind of run out, but right now, I'm giving her grace, just to kind of see how things go. So I don't know if that's what her intentions were, was to, like you said, make us feel comfortable with the understanding that we're not always cookie cutter. We're not all put together. Like we're human. We make mistakes. And I understand that, which is why I'm giving grace. But
Mm-hmm.
still, I think sometimes we tend to overshare things that we didn't need enough.
Yeah, it seemed like that was oversharing. And, and she could, she could say that, well, has her statement been proven to be true?
Girl, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, almost that's that self-fulfilling prophecy because you have to speak positive self-talk. We have to speak life. Don't
Yes.
speak death. And even though, she may not have even thought about that, the question is she really unorganized, or is it that she keeps saying that she's unorganized, and as she puts that out into the universe, it becomes the reality?
Well, I think we need to go back to that module that we talked about, that emotional intelligence,
Mhm.
whenever that section was. I think she might need to go back and do the modules where they talk about that self-awareness and self-discipline and all of that. Because again, I agree. As they state, um, what is it? The tongue, the power of the tongue
Life
and the
and death.
words that you
Yeah.
use. Yeah. So it's like, again, you're putting that out there in the universe that you're not
Mhm.
organized. Um, could that have been stated a different way? Yes. You could have worded it a different way, Um, it still got your point across. But if we are supposed to be trusting in this, it reminds me of when TikTok was was temporarily shutting down,
Mhm.
and they were saying how a lot of the influencers basically just came out and was like telling on themselves about how they never tried those products. They were fake reviews. Again, just getting people to buy the products to, get the commission from it and get the,
Mm.
I guess like you get compensated for like the content and all of that. It kind of reminds me of that, where now those people have lost that trust
Mhm.
with their followers, because now it's like, I don't believe you.
Mhm.
How do I know if what you're saying is even true? And so I think that that's something that we also need to think about when we are being oversharing and we're being open and too honest, that sometimes it can come back and it can bite you,
Mhm.
um, because things were shared that really didn't need to be shared. And so now people, yes, I trust you, but I'm also looking at you side eyed as to like, are you even proficient in your job? Like, should you be doing this? because it's the blind leading the blind, because I don't know what we're doing and it seems like you don't know what we're doing either. So then now we're just wasting time.
Well, that's those unintended consequences, and we used to call them unfunded mandates when I worked at the State Department. Yeah, because you're not expecting that it to become a domino effect, but it becomes a domino effect based upon what you say or what you do. And that's the reason why you have to be so careful when you talk about emotional intelligence, the ability to self-regulate, the
Right.
self-awareness piece, because it is sometimes quite challenging to be aware and then know how to regulate, because we're different every moment of the day.
Right.
And you have to also get to a place where you're okay with being different and understand it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. But, we're constantly being impacted by external stimuli, and then internal things are happening at the same time. So you're constantly shifting and you're constantly regulating. And it could have even been um, some nervousness.
Right.
I
Maybe
don't know
she's
how the department
excited.
was done. But I just had a thought. Hi, Eddie, thank you for joining us, and hi, Yvonne, thank you for joining us, and hi, MJ, Black is Beautiful, thank you for joining us. It could be that because some departments they rotate through,
Right.
meaning that everybody gets an opportunity to lead the training. And then some people may be facilitators. So it could be that this is the first time that she's actually led the training, and her own nervousness, angst, had her, she
Right.
just spoke that and brought it forward, not understanding if you never let them see you sweat. Because if I don't
Right.
see you sweating, then I just flow with it. But when you tell me that, and then people ask questions and you don't seem prepared to respond, or you don't
Right.
pick up on the cue to shift, then everybody sees your slip showing. As Mama would say, the slip is showing, and her slip is showing. I see.
It is. And the thing is, it's not just about this particular situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about things as a whole, right? Like we have to be mindful of what we share, even on social
Yeah.
media. You know, I mean, I don't really consider us content creators, but I guess you can say to a certain extent we are, that social media personality. Like I get it. So it's like but you still got to be mindful of what you share, like everything is not worthy of being shared because it doesn't always go over the way that you think that it's going to be received, and as a result that can hurt you in the long run. And things are always evolving, like when we look at the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, social media was pretty much Yahoo Messenger, AOL Messenger, Yahoo chats, AOL chats. You had Black Planet, you had MySpace, um, like very minor social media. Even with Facebook has evolved, right? Because before Facebook, you had to be a college student. That was the only way that you could, sign up
Mm-hmm.
um, for Facebook. And then they kind of,
Mm-hmm.
became lax and they opened it up to everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
again, no one is saying that you can't share your truth or have freedom of speech, but you just have to be mindful of what you share because as things continue to evolve, this is where we are as of this moment. But when you start looking at a few months from now,
Mm-hmm.
a few years from now, what is what is going to be the repercussion of what you did 10 years ago? Like it doesn't go away. Unfortunately, like once you put it out there, it's out there. And we all know that's true because even with the celebrities, right? Like as soon as they post a tweet, somebody done screenshot it and they deleted it. But guess what? Somebody captured it. Now you see it on TMZ, you see it on the Shade Room. And now it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Even people who tweeted years ago now they'll bring it back up and be like, oh, well, you said back in, 2010, da 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 da, but now this is no longer your belief. So again, you just have to be mindful. There's nothing wrong with, sharing is caring, as they say, but just be mindful of how much is being shared. And then, what is the perception, right? How do you want people to perceive you? And I feel that we want people to perceive us being in our best
Mm-hmm.
as someone who, has it together. Now, you don't have to be like cookie cutter perfect, but at least someone who is confident in themselves. They're knowledgeable about whatever the circumstance or situation is. So I know that, okay, you got me, we got us, all is well.
Mm-hmm. Well, you sort of answered Addie's question. Addie asked, okay, he never knew this. So what do you think of relevant sharing? And what we have been sharing with students, high K-12 students, and even college students,
Yeah.
be careful what you put out there because employers will look on your social media. And that's before it really became a thing for them to ask you on applications now. Because I was working with some folks and it was like they wanted their social media um, handles. And so, and as I reminded them, I'm like, that's the reason why you would have heard, be careful what you put out there because it's going to still be there. And now you see employers wanting that information. And I noticed that about 8 years ago, now time goes so fast, where they were requesting your social media URLs or your handles. And so when it comes to what do you put out there, what comes to mind, and this is going to be an odd way that I'm going to phrase it, but it's probably the best way to say it so that everybody will get it.
Right.
The golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you
Mhm.
use that as your barometer, the what you measure things by, then if you know that this would hurt you, or it may not hurt you, but you don't want somebody to do that to you, then that's not content that you want to put out there. Because again, you've got to have some way to view it. And to me, the golden rule: you don't want to do anything or say anything that's going to hurt anyone. So that means you're not targeting people. Even with us, because we do commentary. I don't really think about it like that, but as you said, we're content creators. We do commentary. When we talk about things that are happening in the world, like we did last week, but we transitioned from what was going on with Tyler Perry. Well, Tyler had made remarks at Angie Stone's funeral, and then you were sharing that Monique had used that as her opportunity again to talk about her pain. Well, you talked about it from your perspective, and then, how I am, how TAS am, and I'm like this, even if we've been offline. I'm thinking, okay, there's pain that she hasn't gotten over this. So anytime something happens, she's triggered. She needs something, and she still hasn't gotten it. So therefore, whenever an opportunity presents, and like I said, I'm sure last week, it's just like us in our regular lives. Happen, and they bring out the best in us. If I
They
was singing
do.
Bobby Womack's song, no matter how high I get, I still be looking up to you. He says in that song, the lyrics says, when he comes on, she gets the best side of him. She gets the worst side of him because she gets all of him. So, when funerals happen or weddings, but typically it's a funeral, you know, folks get so, we just be the best version of ourselves. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We be the best version of ourselves. So, everybody's human. So whether you're just regular everyday person or you have a media platform or you're a celebrity, when life is happening, it still hits you the same. And, people respond just as you would if it was your family or somebody in your community and you felt some kind of way. And so, for me, whenever I think about things that are happening in the world as a whole, I always look at it from that perspective that people are responding based upon where they are and out of whatever their experiences are. But my point with even saying that, to go back to what you were asking, Addie, even though we had a couple of comments, which is basically what I've just said now, I was still very cognizant of that,
Right.
because I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt Monique. And I don't even know Monique, but I like Monique. I like Monique. I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt her. I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt Angie Stone's family. I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt Tyler Perry.
Right.
You know, this is just something that was going on at the time, but I'm trying to look at it as to why Monique would have had a response, because she's still hurting. And just like we see it with our families and our friends when
Right.
things happen, people, they be vocal again because they are still hurting. And we have to understand that. But, you know, when we're on the outside looking in, we just see the headlines. But also, going back to you again, Addie, there are people behind the headlines. There are people. We're people. You know, sometimes, you know, I'm having to learn boundaries all over again. You know, we had a conversation about this, OnJerya, offline, about how we really weren't taught boundaries, and we weren't.
Right.
You know, I love my mama. You know, mama said, but mama, and sometimes we talk about this, OnJerya, and I tell mama too, because our grandmother died. I just think there was still some things that grandma didn't get a chance to tell mama.
Yeah.
Also, I think the mama says, mama remembers them, but mama don't go deep. See, when we start these discussions when I was a little girl, I go deep with it. I go deep with it now. And, you know, because of how my mother was raised and the trauma that she experienced, she's a very giving person.
Right.
And I think that comes from that trauma. But you can be giving and not have no boundaries. Now, mama
Yes.
got a few boundaries, but mama ain't really got no boundaries. And her boundaries are kind of odd. And so she raised us like that. And, you know, a friend of mine, Gina, used to say to me, and she still does, you too accessible. And I said to her within the last 7 days, I get it, Gina, I'm too accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Because what that meant was I didn't have enough boundaries, because I have to have time because I'm a human being. I work my primary job. I do my social media stuff, and I'm a maid, I'm a auntie, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, you know, I'm a friend, you know, things are happening with my friends, and it's a lot going on. As a friend of mine likes to say, a colleague said, it's a lot, it's a lot. And I have to be strong for myself. Then I have to be strong for all these different people also, and it's a lot. And I have to have some time. And so it's like, no. And as I wrote in the bounce back, I need to have all these books sitting there. No is a complete sentence. No. But we weren't raised that way. But no means no. And what I will get to it when I get to it. As a wise woman said to me once, oh, you creating your own stress. I said, no. They said, you creating your own stress. I said, really? Yeah. Yeah, a wise woman said that to me. And at the time that they said it, I was in a place where I could hear it and understand it. And they were right. Yes, because I just realized, yeah, you creating your own stress. And that's what I gotta say. And as my mentor would say to me, I don't know, I'm gonna get him. I don't know why you doing that. Nobody's making you do that. Let's go. I'm gonna get him. But he would say that. He says it, you know, he says it every now and then. I don't know why you doing that. You know, he says it just like that. Let me get a straight face. I don't know why you doing that. Nobody making you do that. Well, they are, because I don't have boundaries, because it's mama's fault. You know, because he said that to me over and over again. And then sometimes I'll be like, yeah, why am I doing that? I don't have to put that pressure on me again. Lack of boundaries. And it's like, well, how can you not have boundaries with yourself? Very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mother is a giver.
Yes.
So when you are a giver, you're not thinking about yourself and how giving at that moment, it doesn't mean you can't be a giver, but giving at that moment, how it impacts you, which is, why I'm on this thing about respect, because as I said, she taught us to respect everybody else, but she didn't teach us to respect ourselves, because respecting ourselves would start with those boundaries. And, she neglected that. But, mama's got those boundaries.
Okay, if you say so. While you was talking about giving, I was thinking about um, the song. Now they don't sing it at our church, but I've heard it at other church. Was give it in Jesus' name, and the Lord will give it back to you.
Okay.
So that's what I was thinking about. Like maybe her perspective is that if we give, and we genuine about giving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is what we're supposed to do as Christian. This is our Christian duties, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to help one another. Um, Maybe she's thinking that because of the giving,
Mm-hmm.
as a result, we're being blessed. But we know that, but it's still hard when you don't have boundaries. And then you're the one that's stressed out, and everybody else is over there living their best life. And you're over here trying to figure out, like, why can't I get it together? You can't get it together because we don't have boundaries, and we didn't establish those boundaries. And it's hard. And it's not okay.
Well,
But it's okay because we acknowledge it, we recognize it, and we're doing something about it instead of playing the victim.
I don't play victim, because that just, I don't like victims. I'm sorry, guys. I was sexually abused. I don't play victim, and I don't like victims, because victim means that I have settled. For me, this is my interpretation. TAS, I'm not going to settle for that.
Right.
I deserve better than that. And if I'm going to play victim, that means for me, I've given up. So no. But I hear what you're saying, Anjay, and maybe that was it. I never heard that song before. But also, I think even in where we are now, people really do think that, well, I'm going to see it multiple ways. One, that what they got going on is most important. It's
Yep.
most important to you, baby. It's most important to you, because everybody else has got stuff going on too. Okay. They feel that their family is most important. It's most important to
Yep.
you. I don't want anything to happen to your family, but my family got to be most important to me. It's like almost as if people think that you're going to take what's
Right.
your life, and put it to the side and live their life, or help them to live their life. That's not going to be. You know, he said, what is it? Have life and have it more abundantly. But you see, that's with God. You understand? He said you got to leave your mother and father. That's God.
Right.
And he don't mean a literal leaving them, but he has to become the center. That's God. That's not you. That's not you, not you, not you. That's God.
Right.
And I think that, with gaslighting and manipulations and people who are narcissistic,
Yep.
and people have played the game so long, they believe their own cover story, and they think everybody else automatically is going to believe it. But you got to understand that people are experiencing many things in life now, and
Yep.
they're going to experience a whole lot more. So I'm going to say that again. They're going to experience a whole lot more. And so this is probably not the time to be playing people.
Mm-mm.
Now, let me say that one more time, too. You heard me one more time. This is probably not the time to play people and try to get over on people, because we started off talking about this young lady stating that she's not very organized, and I've tried to explain it for multiple different ways. But the point is that she's not able to
Right.
self-regulate. It appears. It appears, because we don't know what caused her to say that, but it appears that she's not able to self-regulate. So when I say this is not the time to be playing people, trying to take advantage of people, gaslighting them, however word you want to whatever the new word is that means all of that. This ain't
Right.
the time for that.
No.
This ain't the time. So listen to TAS. This ain't the time for that. Because people, I may have been able to self-regulate last week. Well, no,
Mhm.
not even gonna go last week. At 8 a.m., I may have been able to self-regulate. At
Yeah.
5 p.m., at 10:30, I can't. At 10:30 a.m., I can't self-regulate. So what are you saying with that? People are dealing with so much. Their ability to think logically and clearly, rationally, becomes diminished. And what they would have taken last week, they ain't taking it this week. They ain't
Yeah.
taking it. And you don't know when they no longer are able to take it, what that's going to look like. And sometimes when things happen, and you and I know this from history, personal history, the
Mhm.
person that is hurt may not be the person that you are upset by or who
Right.
bothered you. That may not be the person that is injured or fatally injured. It may be the person that you love, the person that you would not have done that to them, but that they were the person that you were in close proximity to when you could not self-regulate. And these are ever-changing times. I think that's Aretha and is that Michael McDonald? Um, I don't know where these are ever-changing. I think that's Aretha Franklin and Michael McDonald. These are ever-changing times. So, and if you don't know that song, you guys should look that up because I'm hearing the lyrics in my head. See the clock upon the wall. It don't bother me at all. These are ever-changing times. But anywho, I don't know why he's giving me that, but you might want to listen to it because I certainly will listen to it because I don't know where Aretha why she popped in here with us tonight, but these are ever changing times. But yeah, I'm with you, OnJerya. That the boundaries and everything, and as Addie was asking the question, yeah, think about yourself.
Yeah.
And even with religious things, people view religion differently.
Yes.
Now, are we sharing information? Hi, Batman, 757. Thank you for joining us. We sharing information. You even have to be mindful of that because, you see me do it all the time in interviews and even when you and I are having our commentary. You going to let me say this, Lord?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. Because, some things, they're not necessarily bad, but they're not the appropriate thing to say at that moment.
Right. And that's right. Again, that's why I go back to saying sometimes you just can't share everything because some people they can't handle it. What you
Nicholson.
say, Jack? Yeah, you can't handle the truth, and we really do have to be mindful, um, because again, like I said, it really is all about perception. It's all about those boundaries that you may or may not have. Maybe you have them, but you just don't use them. Okay, well, maybe it's time to start using them. Okay, because again, you can only poke the bear for so long before
Mhm.
that bear pokes back. And when the bear pokes back, can you really get in your feelings? Can you really
Well,
be
yeah, I
upset?
can, but it doesn't. But should I?
No,
Yeah, I'm gonna get in my
you
feelings.
shouldn't. You shouldn't because again, we know the difference between right or wrong. Let me state that differently. We should know the difference between right and wrong,
Mhm.
even though a lot of us act like we don't. You should. You should know the difference between right and wrong. So again, just like that golden rule, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Don't do things that you wouldn't want somebody to do to you. Okay?
Mhm.
As Sparkle and R. Kelly, and I know y'all done cancel Aura. I'm not canceling Aura. Robert Kelly, Robert Sylvester. I'm
If the shoe
not
fits.
canceling him. But as him and Sparkle said, you better be careful what you do to me because it might turn around on you.
Ooh,
Okay. And that's all that we're saying. Just be mindful of the optics, as I think is what they would like to say. It's the optics. It's how does it look? You know, how is it perceived? And you don't want to be in a situation where it can hurt you in the long run. So establishing those boundaries, being able to self-regulate, regardless of what the circumstances are, being self-disciplined, not being in that victim mentality just because, someone reaches out to you because they have a question and you may not know the answer. It's okay. I promise you. No one's going to knock your head off just because you don't know the answer. I'd rather you say, look, I'm not really sure, but guess what?
find out.
I'm gonna go find the answer. Or if you can't go find the answer, at least be like, hey, reach out to da 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 da. They may be able to help you, get the answer that you're looking for. Don't make it up. Don't feel the pressure of oh, the lights on me. Now I have to perform. No, it's not a performance. Just breathe in, breathe out, and be yourself. And stop trying to be what you feel like society wants you to be. And I think honestly, now that, we're talking about this, and this did happen 2 weeks ago now. Yeah, tomorrow will be 2 weeks. You know, I don't think that when they when they made that statement that they meant any harm by it. I really
Mhm.
do think that they were just speaking their truth. And there's nothing wrong with speaking the truth. But again, you have to be mindful, right, of the truth that you're speaking, because it's like addressing the elephant in the room, right? If we go ahead and we address it and get on out the way, now we can, laugh about it, talk about it, move on, because now we done addressed it. But it's like when you don't address it, then now we're kind of like tiptoeing and tap dancing around the situation.
Mhm.
And that's what I think really all it was that maybe it was nerves.
Yeah.
Maybe it was,
Mhm.
I'm not really
Mhm.
sure on how to open up, because I mean, it's hard. I'm sorry. I know that it seems like it is easy that we get in front of y'all every week and just talk. But sometimes it's like, I don't know what to say. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to,
Mhm.
it's hard
Mhm.
because you do have to be mindful, right?
Mhm.
Like it is scary. Like eventually over time you do get comfortable. But we were raised by Joe Jackson's
It's true.
sister, so we didn't have time to be feeling scared and ashamed and all of it. We had to get it together because Joe Jackson's sister does not play. Okay. She don't play.
Mhm.
Um and we do feedback because they do. Mama watches the replay, and she
Yep.
definitely does provide feedback to be like, "Why you say that? You should have said that. Why were you looking that way?" So again, just be comfortable with yourself and what I don't even want to say what you bring to the table, because I don't even like that. Like what you bring
Mhm.
to the table. Just be comfortable with yourself and the skills and the knowledge that you have, and understand that there may be people that have similar skills and similar knowledge, but it's not going to come across the same way. It's really not, and it's okay. I promise you, it's okay. You know, love yourself more and more and more. Hug yourself. Have those affirmations and just breathe. The main thing is breathe. Like I was telling Teresa, I said, I realize sometimes that I be holding my breath. She like, are you trying to take yourself out of here? No, I'm not. But I think we just be so in the hustle and bustle of life, like you forget to breathe, and it's like, whew, just breathe, right? Because again, you're focused on whatever the task is that you're trying to accomplish. But we have to slow down. In the words of Trinity, slow down. We have
My baby. Teresa
we have to slow
needs to
down.
calm down. No, Teresa needs to calm
Yeah, you
down.
need to calm down, which ultimately meant you need to slow down too, because you were
Yeah,
kind of all over the
I was.
place.
was
but
kind of uptight.
you're very much uptight, which goes back to creating your own stress. Now, there are some things, yeah,
Got
yeah, you know,
to work that back on me and my own stress.
I
Okay.
did, I did. I am said person that made that statement. Yes, so I'm gonna get my credit.
Go right ahead.
Okay,
Get to it.
I'm gonna get my credit. Okay. And when the person that I was talking to see this, they gonna be like, "Oh, she told her." I did. Because we do create our own stress sometimes. Like, I'm not saying that life isn't stressful, because it is, okay? But sometimes we contribute to it because we don't set them boundaries. We don't set those boundaries. We don't take the time for self and have a check-in with self. I'm a firm believer in checking in with self. Sit down, have a conversation with yourself. I know they say if you talk back, there's something wrong with you. Baby, you can talk back all you want to, there's nothing wrong with you. Because I feel like sometimes the best conversations is with yourself. When you like, girl, what were we thinking? Girl, I don't know what I was thinking, but we did what we did, so what we gonna do now? Sometimes it'll be the best conversation. That don't mean you're crazy. That just means that you love yourself and you
Reflecting.
are, and you're analyzing yourself, right? You're not
Yeah.
afraid to critique your own self, because that's what I do. Every night I'm like, oh, how did the day go? What can you do better? Okay. Well, how are we going to make sure that tomorrow we don't repeat what we did today? I feel like that's real important because it helps you be a better version of you, not a fake phony you, but a better version of you, because that's ultimately all we want to be. Like, we all want to reach that goal, whatever the goal is. And the only way you're going to do that is one, establishing them boundaries, two, stop playing victim, and three, self regulate and be aware of those emotional intelligence. Be aware so that you can be all that you can be in the army, as they say. I don't even know if they still say that, but yeah, like, so you can just be the best version of you, not for everybody else, but for you. Because again, if you not 100, then how you gonna be 100 for everybody else? As the meme says, check on your strong friends. Please do, because we tired of being strong for everybody else and then can't show up for ourselves. So, just love you. Love you and understand everything doesn't need to be shared. That's it. Everything doesn't need to be shared. It doesn't mean that you need to be embarrassed about it, but you just don't need to share everything. Share the good, don't always share the bad, unless it's a teachable moment. Like, that's my thing. If you're gonna share something bad, let it be a teachable moment. Let it be, ooh, girl, let me tell you what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I went and got some gas and I drove off and forgot to put the pump back up.
And they put
Like,
the pump. Oh, that
I
was
didn't even,
awful. Awful.
and no, I did not do that. But I'm just saying, like, you have those situations. Like,
Are you sure you didn't
when,
do that? I
no, I did not do
didn't do
that.
that. Whatever
I
Urkel
did
was
not
saying.
do that.
Okay.
However, I
Wasn't
have
me.
seen it happen.
Mm.
I've seen it happen where people, they were just so
So,
like,
and something.
they were just checked out, and and I'm watching them and I'm just like, they really about to drive off,
Mm.
and that pump is still in. So again, just take the time. Just take the time to breathe, smell the flowers. Like, breathe in, breathe out. Find some what they call it, meditation. Do some form of meditation. It is really, really beneficial. Um, just to be zen and ground yourself and focus. And I promise you, you can take whatever the negative is and make it positive. So the way that she could have, what I'm saying is with her, is that yes, I may not be an organized person, right? But guess what? It doesn't impact your success in this particular program, right? Because I know it's something that I'm working on. So now you done took that negative and you done made it a positive,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's like, I need you guys to hold me accountable. So if something doesn't, pan out the way it's supposed to, then you hold me accountable. Accountability is very key because nobody wants to be held accountable. Nobody wants to be told that you didn't do this right or you didn't say this right. But you have to be accountable. Accountability is very key and it's important in addition to taking time for self, with self, and just focusing on you and being selfish with you by establishing them boundaries and working on things that are flawed. Because again, there are some things that you can work on. We all can work on things. I got a
Absolutely.
whole laundry list of things to work on. Have I started on them? Some of them, no. But
I'm just talking about here. Oh, no.
but I'm being honest. I'm letting you know, like, there's things that I need to work on. Am I going to work on them? Absolutely, because I want to be the best version of me, not only for you guys, but for myself. So, in order to do that, it starts with me. And so, I know that it's hard because we don't want to put in the work. We don't want to put in the work. But one thing I will say, and I'm going to turn it back over to you. 'Cause I know Teresa's like, oh, she just over there talking. Um, I saw the picture of, oh my goodness, what's his name? Uh, the actor that played Candyman.
Oh,
Tony,
probably.
yes. I
Mhm.
can't think of his name right now, but
He passed last year, I think it
yes.
was.
So they were showing he's in the new, I think it's Final Destination movie, and they were showing his picture, and they was talking about, like how he was sick because I believe he had like stomach cancer or something along that lines, and like how he just didn't look like himself, right? Because we're accustomed to seeing him his like chipper self, and he just looked very tall and frail. We don't know what the movie looks like because the movie's not out yet, and I don't even think the trailer's out yet. But they just showing like pictures mentioning it. He showed up.
Yeah.
He showed up. He was going through things, and he showed up. It reminds you of Chad.
Chadwick. Chadwick.
Yes, he was going through things, but he still showed up. And no one never knew until it was the end that, these were the things that he was dealing with. So, what are you saying? You're not going to always have good days. You're not going to always get it right. And it's okay because we're not perfect. Yes, we should strive to be perfect, but nobody's really perfect. At the end of the day, you just have to take care of you as we keep stressing. You have to show up for you when nobody else shows up for you. And you have to be your own cheerleader, even if you don't have cheerleaders in the background supporting you. And understanding that we all have things that we can work on. And it is okay to acknowledge that you have things to work on. And the focus should be taking that negative and making it a positive.
Absolutely. And I think that to restate what you said about the person who started the training off or made her initial comments as she probably was talking about herself. Yeah, because you're sharing
Right.
that she's not very organized. She could have shifted that narrative and framed it differently. Although, innately, I'm not a very organized person. I use tools to help me to stay more organized, and that's now it's something that could have been a weakness, but I have figured out how to mitigate that so that it's not a weakness and that I can be successful in my work. Likewise, guys, there are going to be things that you that may not be a strong point, but it's a part of leadership. You can do things to grow that component of your leadership so that you can be successful. No one is at 100% in every aspect of leadership. We're at different components, we're different levels, but it doesn't mean that you cannot be a good leader. So just reframing
Right.
what her truth was but reframing it so that when it landed in the ears of those who were listening that are looking to her for leadership, it would have landed differently and perhaps achieved, if she was trying to create a relationship, would have been able to sow the beginnings of a trusting relationship and a productive, fertile learning environment. But, as someone says, all in how you say it, all in how you frame it, also reading the room,
And you
because
only got one time to make that first impression.
impression. And you guys don't know the person. So therefore, you can only go by what they say.
Right.
Which goes back to Addie. People can only go by what you say. And you will hear me, and you have heard me. I'll go back and I'll change how I've said something. I'll think about how I want to say it and how I'm going to say it. Because again, you have to know me. And you may think that you know me because you see me online, but you don't really know me. And so if I say something a certain way, you may be like, I can't believe she said that. Well, it's no harm meant.
Right.
It's just who I am. But I have to be always cognizant of that. And so as I think this has been a very enlightening conversation, OnJerya. And I am reminded of that great philosopher. If I had took the time to see what I meant to me, if I had took the time to see what I meant to me, now he says if I took the time to see what that woman meant to me, we're talking R. Kelly, because when you take the time to see what you mean to you, then you can begin to frame things a different way. Because I want to believe that young lady didn't want to say something that would put her in a poor light. Because not only when she spoke that did she speak it to those people in the room, she spoke it to everybody else in the organization. Well, why? How do you say that? Because those individuals in the room report to somebody. They're going to want to know, how is the training going? So when she spoke to the whole organization. Like when you put things on social media, you think it's just going to go to your folks or on your page, but it goes to everybody's page, because then I'm going to share it, then somebody else going to share it, and then it's pretty soon, it's out there, so anybody can see it. They don't even have to share it. They just tell, go to such and such page. You're going to see it. It's that fourth book. That's the way it goes. And so, again, if I had took the time to see what I meant to me, then I wouldn't have to be fed up. Oh, come on here, Robert. Then I wouldn't have to be fed up. You with me there? Because if I understood how important I was, I got to set boundaries. I got to be careful what I'm saying, because I'm speaking life to whatever comes out of my mouth. I'm speaking life to that. So if I had took the time to see what I meant to me, then we can, modulate some of those things, and I wouldn't have to be fed up. So again, you know how I feel about Robert Kelly, R. Kelly. I mean, the lyrics, because his mother always said that the lyrics have to mean something. So, the words, it's the words. But think about what we're talking about, the power of the words. The power of the words. And people don't forget them. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Again, if you're looking for some help with your content, I am Dr. Taz, Talk with Taz. I am available to help you with sharing your message to an audience, so that you can get your message out and help other people. Because my platform, as well as this show, is all about helping individuals become the best version of themselves. And OnJerya feels the same. And we just go about it two different ways, but we're always parallel, since we both been orange tonight, and we didn't know that the day was going to be the orange day, but we're always parallel. We just have our own take on it, but it's still parallel. And that's what I think is so interesting, because none of this is scripted. It is interesting how parallel messages, but different delivery. And that's what we've been talking about tonight, the delivery, and how you can reframe things and make them a strength versus a weakness, and get the desired results that you want. But I will say, you do have to be rested now, and you do have to be thinking. Because it's kind of hard to do that when you're not rested and you're not thinking. Because I always like to say this lady's word that, she said she's probably forgotten it. I may mention it to her, but I'm never going to mention it to her because she probably ain't forgot. When the lady at home said, because I told you who it was recently, because I probably said it before, that sometimes she get a little mischievous.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes we get a little mischievous because, see, I don't know why. I know why she was mischievous, but we get mischievous sometimes because we don't be rested. And I know that's po English. That's the reason I said it that way. Because we're not resting. We're not reflecting, as you just talked about doing, OnJerya, at the end of the day. We're not taking the time to see what I meant to me. So when I talk about, again, take care of you, it is every aspect of your being. It's every aspect. Because if you can't take care of you, then you can't do anything at the level that you would like to do in it, because that means you're always compromised. You're always compromised. And when you're compromised, that compromises your relationships. It compromises your job. It compromises your children. And it goes on and on and on. The dominoes begin to fall. But if you had taken the time to see what you meant to you, and took care of you, then perhaps most of those things that were not positive would not happen. So, as always, before you go trying to take care of somebody else, please make sure you take care of yourself first. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.